Straight dog talk and the song. Jump on in and speculate. Show up on time, don't be weak and late. We are community, so don't hate. And learn to cooperate. Yeah, hit that like button and do your thing. 5 membership will get you in. So let's talk dogs and don't waste no time. Monday 7 p.m. Don't come doing the HATE. Otherwise Hollywood will give you the BYE. Here we go, kill the whistle. Oh yeah, we are going for a whole hour. Straight dog talk and the song. Jump on in and speculate. Show up on time, don't be weak and late. We are community, so don't hate. And learn to cooperate. Hit that like button and do your thing. 5 membership will get you in. So let's talk dogs and don't waste no time. Monday 7 p.m. Don't come doing the HATE. Otherwise Hollywood will give you the BYE.
The BYE. What is going on, guys? I know I kind of changed gears on you guys. You know, we do this every Friday. What's going on, Bullies, Bourbon, Beers, and Barbecue? We do this every Friday, but yesterday was a very special day. It was Valentine's Day. And, you know, my wife, she decided we were going to be going somewhere and doing something. And so, hey, that was the end of that. So that's the reason we kind of moved it up to Saturday. Reyes Kennels, what's up? Good Brothers Kennel, what's up? So listen, today we're going to be talking Repro. You know, we're going to be talking about Repro. And we're going to not just be talking about Repro for the sake of just talking about IDEX numbers, which we're going to get into. We're also going to talk about like shipping methods, right? And more importantly, what happens when you got to go to a plan B shipping method? That way, you don't ship sperm that's dead by the, dead on arrival or anything like that. For those of you that are studying dogs, for those of you that are not studying dogs, you definitely want to pay attention to this because you're going to require that the stud owner ship it in a particular manner for you. This way you don't run into a situation where, you have the female, everything is set, and sperm got there dead on arrival. Now you pretty much got to wait another 6 months. All right. So that's what we're going to be talking about. D. Williams, what's up, man? So this, more than anything, it's a refresher, right? For those of you that have actually used these boxes, Canine Express, give me a thumbs up if you've used this in the past, right? And give me a question mark in the comments if this is the first time you ever heard of this. Which, by the way, what's crazy about Canine Express, and is the reason why is my preferred method of shipping sperm or, cold catch, cool catch, is that it started out, as you can imagine, as Equine Express 2, meaning, these racehorses and whatnot, that's their method of using it so that they know that it's going to get there. The sperm is going to get there with good quality. Good Brothers says, question, okay, Zulema. Okay, excellent. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to show you guys what's in here. So let me go ahead and open up this box real quick. And all right, so basically, this is nothing more than a styrofoam box inside of the, excuse me, inside of the carton box, okay? So this is nothing more than a styrofoam cooler. If you really want to think about it, that's really what it is. And when you look inside, right? When you look inside, now it comes with a freezer pack right up top. You guys know what I'm talking about, a freezer pack, right? One of them little gel-filled packs that comes on top here. Now, the reason this one doesn't have it is because I immediately, whenever I get these boxes, I grab the freezer packs and I throw them immediately into the fridge. But as you can see, you have gloves here. You have KY jelly, or not KY, but you get lubricant. Let me put it that way. You have lubricating jelly. My apologies, I misspoke. So you have lubricating jelly. You also have these little like little beakers, if you will. I forget what these are called. And then if you notice, there's a styrofoam insulation little piece right here, right? So we're going to go ahead and pull it out, right? So the styrofoam insulation piece is taken out. And then what you're left with is going to be these syringes, right? And if you notice the syringe, if you notice the tip of the syringe, it doesn't have any rubber on there. And that's important because that rubber will kill sperm. Sperm is very delicate, and a couple of things will kill it. Rubber is one of them. The other thing that will kill it is a sharp rise or drop in temperature if it's too much, and we're about to get into that here in a second. But more importantly, this is going to be where you're going to be putting the sperm along with the extender, right? If for those of you that don't know, extender is an egg-based product that once you spin the sperm, so the way it works is, right, you're going to collect the sperm somehow, right? For us, for example, we use Ziploc bags. So we're going to collect the sperm in the Ziploc bag. We're going to go ahead and grab this, right? And we're going to collect the sperm. Once the sperm is collected, it'll be transferred to one of these. Once it's transferred here, I'm going to put it on a centrifuge that's going to make it go round and round at a super fast rate. And I'm going to do that for about 12 minutes. Once that's done, you're going to notice everything separated. The sperm will be at the very bottom, and that's called the sperm pellet. And everything else that you're going to see, which is going to be should be a clear liquid, is nothing more than prostatic fluid, right? So you want to go down there, and that's what these little things are for, right? You're going to go down all the way to the bottom, and you're going to suction the sperm into the syringe, and you're going to have the extender ready. That's why this brings two. You're going to grab that second one, and that's where you're going to pour, right? That's where you're going to pour, say, about 6 mLs of extender, right? About 6 mLs of extender, and then you're going to shoot the sperm in there. What's going to happen is now that sperm has the environment it needs to be able to survive, okay, for up to 72 hours. It could go further than that, but I'm talking about viable motility. Motility is the movement the sperm has, the wiggle. If the sperm doesn't have wiggle, you're going to have issues getting a female pregnant, right? So how much wiggle do you need? Well, it all depends on what type of breeding you're going to be doing. Is it going to be natural? Is it going to be artificial insemination? Is it going to be TCI, which is transcervical insemination, which we're going to talk about here in a moment? Or is it going to be surgical insemination? I could tell you the most invasive is the surgical. It is a minor surgery. But that one in particular, you need the least motility to be able to get the female pregnant. Okay. And that's going to be on the surgical. That's one of the reasons why whenever you get frozen sperm shipped, right, you're going to want to do a surgical. And that's because frozen sperm, once it's thawed, right, it loses 50% of its motility. So, and not just that, half. Let me rewind. I said that wrong. Frozen sperm, once thawed, half of the sperm will wiggle again. The other will just be dead and not serve any purpose, right? So that's the reason why you want to use surgical on frozen, because it increases the probabilities that your female is going to get pregnant. Now, let me talk to you guys about the different types, right? Different types. So basically, there's 4 types of breeding methods, right? And there's pros and cons to each one of them. I already spoke to you about frozen. Natural breeding, right? It's basically letting dogs naturally mate. Um, However, natural mating usually is best for experienced or compatible pairs. So, too many times I've seen where somebody's wanted one of my dogs to stud their female, and they live out of town or whatnot, and they'll drive here and bring their female. I will open the area, and the female starts running around, and I let my male out. Well, I usually let the female in the area for about a good half hour to 40 minutes, let her feel as comfortable as she can. But it's very rare when I release my male that female is just ready to breed. Why is it? Because she's been taken out of her comfort zone. She's no longer at home. She doesn't know who this male is, et cetera, et cetera. What I'll do is I'll leave the male and the female. If the person insists on it being natural, I'll leave them alone in the yard for a good hour. Make sure they got plenty of water, because the male is going to try to mount several times if he can. And if he misses or whatever, he's going to be pretty, out of breath almost, and he's going to want to be drinking water. If after about that hour, the male has not been able to mount her and create a natural tie, then I will go and do an artificial insemination. Okay, so artificial insemination is nothing more than collecting your dog's sperm, okay, and mechanically, whether through one of these little beakers, right, going in through to the cervix, or they also have these doggy contraptions, let me just call it that are made of rubber that you actually slide into the female's vagina, and you're able to fire the sperm in. And this particular insemination is the most common in the bully world, for those of you that don't know, because it's almost the closest thing to a natural. Obviously, it isn't a natural, but that's the reason that it's most common, because if I bring your female to my house and she attacks my male, she could hurt my male. So rather than doing all that, I'll just collect him, and then we deposit the sperm inside of the female, and then we pray, right? The way, and I'm going to talk to you guys about which particular method we're going to use and how we're going to use it. Right now, I'm just giving you a synopsis of what they are. The transcervical insemination, the TCI, it's more precise than artificial insemination. I'll show you guys why here in a second. And basically using the scope to deposit semen directly into the uterus. So let's say you're going to do a regular AI. I hope y'all can see this. I didn't realize that for some reason it goes blank right about here. All right. So there's a little beaker, right? So this is the female cervix. So on a regular surgical insemination, you're firing right here, and that's it. And depending if her cervix is open or completely closed will determine if that sperm gets in there or not, right? The difference between AI and TCI is that with a particular instrument, which is with a scope and a beaker similar to this but made out of metal, what the person's going to do is they're going to go inside of the cervix, right? They're going to trespass the cervix into the uterus, and they're going to fire right in there. Okay, that's what makes TCI more effective than just AI in terms of placement. Now, when you do a surgical insemination and they open the female up, they're going to go to that uterus. They're going to open it up. It has 2 horns. Remember I said earlier you would collect 6 mLs of extender with sperm? Typically what they're going to do is they're going to hit each horn with 3 mLs, right? And if you have a good vet, they're going to kind of do this to the uterus on both horns to kind of spread the sperm around as best as possible. Let me see. Yeah. And usually surgical inseminations could also be used for a male that's got low sperm count. Or like I said earlier, if you're dealing with frozen sperm where you know half of the sperm count is just not going to, once you thaw it, it's not going to work. Now, timing is everything, right? So for all intents and purposes, we're going to talk about IDEX progesterone testing. Okay. So for those of you that don't know, IDEX is the most common measurement here in America for canine progesterone testing. Now, canine progesterone testing is done in nanograms per ml. Okay. That's the standard in which the measurement is used at. So for IDEX, which is what typically vets have in their offices, every now and then they'll have a mini vitus, which has to be translated or recalculated into IDEX. So just for all intents and purposes, right? If you see that your dog's progesterone is between 2 and say 3.9, okay, hasn't even gotten to 4 yet. The recommendation is that you start testing in 2 days, right? Because the dog does not start, ovulating until it's at a 5. Now, when the dog is between 5 and 8, okay, ovulation has started, okay? And then it's time to prepare for breeding. So basically, get ready. When the progesterone is between 10 and 20, right? That's the best time. So let me rewind. Between 10 and 15 is usually the best time for natural insemination. Okay. So if you see your dog already, forget 10. If she's already at a 9, just start, and she allows the male to mount her. What I would do is I'll let him mount her 4 or 5 days straight and then recheck her, right? If you're going to be doing AI, my recommendation would be, again, between 9 and 15. And the reason I'm using 15 as a cutoff, and it's not really a cutoff, you could do it past it, but usually at 15, that cervix starts to close. It starts to close. In fact, by the time it gets to 18, it should be completely closed, at which time there's only 2 ways that you could get sperm in the uterus. And that's through the TCI, the transcervical insemination, which I spoke about earlier, or a surgical insemination at that point. Okay. If it's over 20, right? Basically what that means is that your dog's eggs are beginning to break down, right? They start to pretty much dissolve after that point. Some people, they like talking days, right? So I'm going to give you some days. So best days for each type of breeding. So natural breeding and AI, okay, is usually 2 or 3 days after ovulation. And ovulation is when the dog gets to 5 on the IDEX, she is starting to ovulate, right? So once you see that she's at a 5, you want to wait 48 to 72 hours. All right. The TCI, or the transcervical, which I spoke about, is done 3 to 4 days after ovulation, and surgical insemination is between 4 and 5 days. And the reason surgical takes a little bit longer is because you want all the eggs to be as fully mature as possible when you throw sperm in there. Because mind you, when they go in and they open your dog up and they bring out the uterus, once they inject the sperm to both horns, within 10 to 15 minutes, sperm is fertilizing eggs in there. It happens that fast. Let me see if we have any comments out here. All right, Travis, what's up, big guy? Love your content. Keep up the good work, sending love and good vibes. Thank you, fam, to what you do for the American Bully community. You got it, man. Nothing but love. Million Man Miles says, blood. We Bay Gray. Yo, what's up, QBN friends? Raul, thank you for a lot of the info. One of my men. Oh, you got it, man. Nothing but love. Adam Fields, like always, in here. Yeah, so those are the usual days that you're going to want to be hitting in those particular different breeding types. There's also certain vitamins and minerals that are key to having your dog ready for breeding. Some people, they just feed their dog kibble and then they wonder why it is that they're only getting 2 or 3 puppies a litter. One of the ways to improve that is you want to start supplementing your dog with folic acid. Folic acid is vitamin B9, and it prevents birth defects. It also supports healthy fetal development. So don't wait until the female's confirmed to start giving her folic acid. I would start feeding the folic acid as soon as I do the breeding, just so that it's there for their early development. Keep in mind, the earlier the development, right? Anything goes wrong, the earlier the development, the greater the disaster you'll have in your hands. So you really want those first 2 weeks of her pregnancy for her to have all of these essential supplements. The next up is omega-3 fatty acids, which is it improves sperm health. So you want to be giving this to the male and the female, right? Omega-3s, and it reduces inflammation in females. Okay, so any type of inflammation she has going on, it'll actually reduce it, which is going to help everything flow better. Vitamin E, which I've spoken till I've been blue in the face. I've spoken to you guys about Nuvet, right? And Nuvet brings vitamin E. So vitamin E enhances fertility and overall reproductive health. Okay. In addition, zinc, which is another thing that Nuvet has, it boosts sperm quality and immune system strength. In reality, zinc will make the sperm's motility last longer, okay, at least a day longer than it did if it didn't have the right amount of zinc. All right. Iron and calcium. We got calcium up in here, right? Supports proper bone and blood development in puppies. So once the female, you're aware that she's pregnant, supplementing with iron and calcium wouldn't be the worst thing. Be very careful in supplementing iron. Do not give human pills. All right. Dogs are very susceptible with iron. So make sure that whatever iron supplement you're going to add, it is made for dogs, in particular, dogs that are pregnant or dogs that have just given birth. Lastly, you definitely want to give your dog probiotics, pre and probiotics, which is going to help digestion and the gut health and is crucial during pregnancy, right? In our case, I mean, as you guys know, I mean, it's no secret, right? We supplement with Nuvet and NuJoint DS. We give it to our females before they're bred. We give it, to our females once we know they're pregnant, throughout their pregnancy, and then once the puppies are born. That's just what we do. The green bottle over here, that green bottle right there is a multivitamin. NuJoint DS. I know it says NuJoint Plus, but I recommend DS, which is the double strength. NuJoint DS over there is what's going to help those puppies in vitro, okay, have good, right? Not good, great and exceptional soft tissue, which they're going to need early on in life. In addition, once I take the puppies off of mom, they're going straight on Nuvet and NuJoint DS. So for those of you saying, how soon can I start my pups? My pups are on it before they were even conceived because their mom is already getting it. Once they've been conceived, mom is getting Nuvet and NuJoint DS. And once the pups are born, they're drinking the milk. So they're getting NuJoint and Nuvet and NuJoint DS. And then once I take them off of mom on day 23, day 24, right, I'm mixing the Nuvet NuJoint DS along with the mush that I'm going to be giving them, right? And then from there, they're going to be getting it on daily. And this is how you make sure that, you have dogs that have good, strong, correct fronts. You don't have dogs with wonky wonky front feet or, you know, anything like that. You got as best an expression up front as you're going to be able to get. Okay. Is there a genetic factor to it? Absolutely. There's a genetic factor to everything. There's a genetic factor to everything. But if your dog does not have a genetic factor, and you come out here and you're not feeding it right, and we refer to that as dietary east-west. You don't feed it right, you're going to be getting some of this right here. Look at that picture on the left, right? That dog's beginning to knuckle over. Whereas 18 days later on Nuvet, look at the correctness. Look how fast it improved. Look at the picture on the left as it's trying to start knuckling over, and look at the picture on the right as it's completely up and down and correct. And this is owed exclusively to Nuvet. Now, I was the first person that made a mistake. Check it out. When I got Fireball, by the time he was 20 weeks, look at his feet. Look at his feet. By the time he was 20 weeks old, you can see essentially that I had made him east-west. I had pretty much made him east-west. However, I went ahead and changed his diet, and little did I know at the time that I was actually feeding, you know, Nuvet and NuJoint. It's just that I was feeding what's the ingredients in there and not the right amounts. But even though I was doing it that way, by the time, right, 25 weeks came around, you could already see an improvement on the east-west. By the time the 1 year east-west was gone, 2.5 years all the way to the present, right? So it's, you know, we come out here and we spend thousands of dollars on a dog, and then we're going to turn around and feed it the cheapest kibble around and then destroy the dog, make the dog east-west, walking around all funky and funny, all because, you know, you don't want to feed right, or there was a supplement. You know, if it's within your reach, I strongly suggest you get it. That's all I'm going to say. We got Canada in the house. Eric Rutherford said, how old should your male be to test the sperm count? Also, where did you get it looked at, your vet? Well, I have my own microscopes here. So all of our males, we do our own thing here in house. But yes, you would want to take your dog to the vet. You know, anywhere between 1 year and 18 months, year and a half, I would take the dog to the vet and get his sperm count. That wouldn't be the worst thing. Insurata says, I have only done side-by-side AI before. I'm going to do breedings with ship for first time this spring, but it's all the way from Florida to Arizona. Any tips on timing for distance? This is an excellent question. One of the worst things about shipping is the day Sunday. Sunday actually takes 2 days out of the possibilities. So you got to keep that in mind. And what I mean by that is you can't ship on Saturday for Sunday delivery, right? So Saturday is a useless day for shipping. You can't ship. Sunday, obviously, you can't ship or receive either. You could receive on Saturday, right? But if the female is ready to be bred on Sunday, you better make sure that sperm motility is high on Saturday, right? Now, if your female's ready to be bred on Sunday, you're stuck like Chuck. My recommendation is better to breed her early than to breed her late. So if you see everything is going to fall in line for it to be Sunday, then I would just have them ship on Friday for Saturday and do whatever I'm going to do on Saturday and pray. Because if you wait until Monday for the person to ship, it's not going to get there till Tuesday. She was ready on Sunday. So now you got 48 hours where those eggs have disintegrated. You don't want to do it that way. Sulema says salmon oil as omega-3. Yes, salmon oil is phenomenal. One of the reasons right now I'm purposefully feeding kibble is because remember that kibble I talked to you guys about? That is Members Mark, which is the salmon and sweet potato. Well, it turns out it's got good amount of omega-3 fatty acids. all I got to do is whatever I'm feeding my dogs is I add a cup, right, of that kibble, and they're getting the omega-3s and omega-6s at the right amounts. That's how I do it. You don't have to do it that way. If you want to purchase salmon oil, if you want to do all that, you can, by all means. The other thing that I want to tell you guys is when I find out that I have a female that is pregnant, me personally, I don't like feeding raw. Now, guys, I fed raw one time just to prove it to myself, and everything worked out fine, except for one thing. And that one thing is that whenever you feed a dog raw, you got to deworm them once a month, right? And I don't like deworming my females, even if it's with fenbendazole, which is one of the least invasive dewormers out there. I don't even like giving that to them because they give that to the puppies through the milk. So I don't want to do that. So in order not to do that, what I do is if I have a female that, I know we're going to be breeding or whatnot, I will switch her over to kibble or cooked food and go down that route. That's just me. I feel that the less chemicals she has in her body, the better it's going to be for puppies. In fact, I read somewhere that ivermectin, which is another form of dewormer, is a lot stronger than fenbendazole. When ivermectin is given to an expected female, to an expected mother, an expected dog, what ends up happening is it affects the puppy's joints. Our breed already has issues with joints, so why would I want to sit there and mess around and, you know what I'm saying, and give my pups something that's going to make their joints weaker? So that's just me. Jeremiah says, good morning, fam. Decided not to breed Talik. You think it's a good idea to fix him before I bring in another dog? I believe so. How old is he? I think he's over 18 months. And if he's over 18 months, then by all means, you can. Esteban says, Raul, my vet tried to tell me recently feeding raw can be risky for the people in the house, especially children and elderly. He tried to say salmonella could come through their pores. Okay, Esteban, so I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's just such an easy way to prove that your vet is a liar. Because dogs don't have pores. Dogs don't sweat. Like pigs, they don't sweat. They have sweat glands at the very bottom of their paws. They don't sweat. So there's no such thing as it coming through your pores. Plus, you're talking about bacteria. Oh, my God. It's unbelievable that a vet would even say something like that. Said something like that to me, he'd be embarrassed in front of his staff. Guys, here's the thing about salmonella and dogs. Dogs are carnivores. And the reason it's important to highlight that is because they only have 7 feet of gut. Okay? Whereas we got close to 30, we got 30 feet, give or take. They have 7 feet, right? Which means that they have very, very high acid in their stomachs, right? Because they're carnivores, they got to break down proteins. They got to break down fat, but more importantly, they also got to break down bone, right? And in addition, that bacteria, it's not even long enough in their body to be able to promulgate, because, like I said, they only have 7 feet. Haven't you noticed that when you feed your dogs, usually within half hour they're pooping? Now, they're not pooping the food they just ate, but they're pooping nonetheless. The food that you ate, they should be pooping it out maybe somewhere around 4 to 5 hours after, sometimes even 6 or 7. My whole point is, I've been feeding my dogs raw. I've never had salmonella poisoning or anything like that. What I have heard from vets that I felt was a better argument is if a dog that's eating raw licks your daughter, licks your grandma, and they have salmonella on the tongue, then they can pass it. Fact of the matter is, the dog's mouth is actually pretty freaking clean, and the possibility of that happening, not only would it have to be that it doesn't lick your face, it would have to like lick your eyeball or inside of your mouth. to actually trespass it. You see what I'm saying? So the likelihood of that happening, I mean, unless you have a kid, and again, you could have a little 1-year-old that sticks their hand down the dog's throat and then sticks it in their mouth, and that's a whole different story. But as long as they're not doing that, I don't think that there could be an issue. That's just my opinion. Esteban says, of course, I laughed it off, but what do you think? Oh, yeah, I just told you. Esteban says, side note, ivermectin and fenbendazole have become very popular for cancer patients trying it on their own. Yeah, I also read up that the cure for cancer was found in South Korea. So pretty soon we're going to be humanity, man. Humanity. You guys know I'm a nurse, so I'm always reading up on medical journals and whatnot. And it seems like they found something. Sulema Santiago, I give Nuvet NuJoint DS, yes, to my dog since she's 1 year old on. Okay, 1 year old. Those vitamins are amazing. Increase her appetite, help building a muscle, improving legs about 40%. I definitely will keep her on it. You know what, Sulema? I made a mistake. And I did not download the pictures you sent me. Do me a favor right now. Send me a text. Just say hi or something. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna upload the pictures here so people can see how your dog has improved 1 year on Nuvet NuJoint DS. Kahiki says, I've been giving my dogs 1 tablespoon of coconut oil a day. That's good. Coconut oil brings omegas as well. Jeremiah Talek is 3 now. I know time moves fast. It's the app updated with upcoming long breedings. It is not updated just yet. Jeremiah, if you want to hit me up directly, go into the app, click contact us, talk to me directly. I'll let you know what's coming, and you could take it from there. Sheichi says, good morning, QB&K and everyone. Mike Castellanos, Raul, if I went about my dog cycle the right way, I got progesterone tested, and the nurse told me she was ovulating. She was ovulating a to-do breeding. So I did back-to-back AIs. What's the chances that she's pregnant? The chances should be good if she was ovulating and you hit her when she was ovulating. The chances should be good. Now, I wanted to share something with you guys that I just remembered of. I should have spoken about when I had this open. So I'm going to go back to the Canine Express box. Remember, it's a cooler. It's a little cooler, right? So what happens, right, on the Canine Express? Remember, I said the ice pack, I put it in the freezer. That's why it's not here. What happens if you didn't put the ice pack in the freezer and somebody calls you up and you got to ship within 2 hours? Oh my God, the fit hit the shan. Something as simple as putting that ice pack in the freezer, you didn't do it, and now you're going to have issues because obviously that freezer pack is not going to do nothing 2 hours in, right? So I'm going to show you guys a little trick that I do. So, and the reason I'm going to show you guys that little trick is because it happened to me. Yeah, happened to me. And it wasn't that I got a box and I didn't. What happened was I had done like 3 or 4 breedings that week and didn't realize I was out of my freezer packs. So anyways, this is what you do, man. You get yourself a Ziploc bag. And this could be done with other forms of shipping as long as you have a covered little cooler. So you got yourself your little Ziploc. You open it up, put it down right there. And what I want you to do is go ahead and collect your sperm like you did. Put it on the centrifuge. Get your sperm pellet, right? And add 6 mLs of extender plus your sperm pellet. You're going to put it in here. Then what I want you to do is this right here. Crumble up, right, a piece of paper towel. And if you like, go ahead and put tape so it doesn't open up. And then you're going to go ahead and put that, right? Then you're going to go ahead and put that in here. The reason we're doing this is because we're trying to make sure that the Ziploc bag of ice that we're going to put on top of this, if it leaks or if it sweats or not sweats, but condensates inside, I don't need this getting wet. If this gets wet, it may become too cold and it'll kill the sperm. So now we're going to go ahead and place it in here. Now, the next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, let's say this is placed in here, right? So then I'm going to grab myself a real bigger than this, Ziploc bag, fill it up with ice as high as I can. And this has this little insulation piece. And then we're going to grab that bag with ice and we're going to put it on top of that. Then we're going to go ahead and seal it. And then we're going to go ahead and ship it. All right. Don't sit there and put bogs of paper towels in there. Don't go put an entire roll of paper towel around this one little sperm sample, because what's going to happen is you're going to over insulate it. And even though it doesn't need to be freezing cold, it needs to have a certain temperature, a certain coldness to it in order for it to be viable. And so that's how I have done it. It's worked for me. I've never had anyone tell me, you know, the sperm was dead or temperature was down in the package. Nothing like that. Real simple. Also, I will tell you guys, especially those that are paying for new studs, I would strongly recommend that somewhere on the contract it says it's going to be shipped by Canine Express. And if it isn't shipped by Canine Express, right, then make sure it says somewhere on the contract that it's going to be shipped by a veterinarian. A veterinarian is going to make sure they're going to use either this or they have this other one that's super tightly packaged as well. But if somebody's going to be shipping on their own to you, make sure at minimum that they're shipping it through Canine Express. Just a heads up for you guys. Also, female cycles, right? So you got people saying, oh, my female goes in heat every 6 months. Very rarely I have had that happen to me, where a female's like clockwork. Every 6 months on the dot, she goes in heat. They're usually off by about 3 weeks here in my yard. But also, there's another variable that I deal with that you may be dealing with or not, and that is I have a lot of females. So when one female goes in heat, she triggers the other ones. So let's say, for example, I have a pocket female right now. Let's say Pinky, right? Pockets usually are going to go in heat at a faster sequence than, say, an XL bully will, right? So say my girl Ali, she's XL. My girl Ali, she may go in heat every 6 to 8 months, whereas my pocket may go in heat every 5 months or there so. So what will happen is when my pocket goes in heat and she pees, she lets out estrogen in that urine. And guess who's going to come sniff up on that urine? Ali and every other female. And Ali may still need another 4 months to go before she's ready to truly, ovulate and all that. But because wolves, right? So dogs descend from wolves. So wolves is important. We talk about this. Wolves out in the wild, the only two pair that mate is the alpha male and the alpha female. Those are the only two, right? The alpha female has a bunch of beta females around her. Let's say 5 for the sake of argument. And so what happens is when that alpha female goes in full-blown heat, these 5 females are triggered to go in heat. In addition, whether that alpha female is pregnant or not, let's just say she is, those 5 females will go into a false pregnancy. They go into a false pregnancy. The reason they go into a false pregnancy, and you'll see, they'll grow their breasts and they'll even have milk. If you think about it, it makes so much sense. Is nature's way of making sure that wolves survive. I'm talking about wolf pups, because when the wolf pups are born, those beta females that have gotten this false pregnancy, they become their surrogate mother. It not only allows the actual mother, the alpha female, to be able to go out and eat and hunt or whatnot, but if something was to happen to her, where she died from an infection, an elk stepped on her and killed her, whatever. If she doesn't make it back, these pups are guaranteed their survival through these 5 surrogate mothers. So I just thought it was important to address that, because sometimes if you have several females in your yard, you could have a female that goes into a false pregnancy. Like, let's say Ali goes into heat, say every 6 to 8 months, and 3 months go by and you think she's in full blown heat. Be very careful, because that's when you're going to get people saying, oh, that's a split heat. It changed up on you, blah, blah, blah. And it very well could be. But at the same time, what it normally is that the female came in heat out of sequence. And usually when they come in heat out of sequence, what ends up happening is once they're done with that sequence, within 60 days, then that's when they really come into full blown heat, where they're actually ovulating. So also keep this in mind. Let me give you the stages of the pregnancy, right? So we all know female dogs are pregnant for 60 days, roughly. I can tell you my XL females, they usually give birth at day 59. It could go all the way up to day 63. But typically, when you have a large litter, and let's say large litter, I know it's going to sound crazy, but large litter, let's call it 4 pups or more. Okay, just for the sake of what I'm about to explain. So if you have a female that has 4 pups or more, and they're XL, I have seen that my dogs give birth on day 59. Now, I had one time an XL female that was pregnant with 2 pups. She took it all the way to day 63. Okay, so the more puppies they got, the more likely the sooner they're going to be giving birth in comparison when they got less pups. For those of you that have pockets, let me know if you've seen the same. I can't really say that, because even though I have pockets, they haven't given birth yet, so I can't really talk on that. So the way it normally works is, whether you're doing surgical, TCI, or natural, as soon as the sperm is put into the uterus, within 10 or 15 minutes, eggs are fertilized, right? Who determines how many puppies are going to be in the litter? I can tell you right now, your dog could have billions of sperm. He could have 10 billion sperm count. That's great. If the female only drops 3 eggs, you only got a chance of having 3 puppies, right? So the female is going to determine how many eggs she's going to drop. This is why I talk to people so much about making sure that they get plenty of sunlight. If it's wintertime, right? If you live up north and it's dark all the time or whatever, or you got to keep your dogs indoor because it's too cold, then you want to have lamps. You want to have lamps that simulate sunlight. Why is this? Because sunlight, right, in all animals for that matter, helps us release serotonin, right? That's what wakes us up, right? That's what gives us, even wants to live and move forward and do things and whatnot. Serotonin. Right? When it's time for you to go to sleep, then melatonin kind of creeps in and it kind of lowers everything down. So everything comes from the female's brain, right? Her endocrine system is what's gonna prepare her to be ready to be fertile if bred with a male and release eggs. If your female is highly stressed, you're gonna have issues getting her pregnant. What do I mean by highly stressed? I mean, if your female is constantly barking on high alert, that's stress. Like, a dog shouldn't be on high alert 24/7. It usually means that there's something that's bothering them. There's something that's causing for them to be alert. If your dog is dealing with too much heat, say, for example, I live in Texas. I could tell you right now, during the summertime, we've had a lot of issues getting our females pregnant. And when we have gotten them pregnant, they'll turn around and do something that is called consumption. They will consume the puppies in vitro, right? And there's a variety of reasons as to why they would do that. One is, for example, 2 years ago, we had temperatures here of 107 for 63 days straight. Do you think that's viable for a female to give birth under those temperatures? No. Now, mind you, all of our dogs have air conditioning, so they're able to walk in and get air conditioning inside of a closed space. Here's the other problem that I found is that during summertime, because it's so hot outside, they'll spend the majority of the time inside. And unbeknownst to me at the time, I didn't have lamps in there. Now we got lamps. So technically, we should improve our pregnancies going all the way through during the summertime. But I just wanted to share that with you. Also, like I said, the female's peace of mind. I'll give you another example. I used to have a female. Her cell was next to another female's, and they just didn't like each other. They never liked each other. Ever since they had a little scrap one time, females could do that in the dog world. They'll just hate each other to death, right? And I had them always, since there were pups, next to each other's cell. Well, by the time it was time to, breed them and whatnot, I realized they were stressing each other out. Like one of them was barking 24/7 at the other one, and the other one was getting stressed. The other one didn't want to come outside. So I separated them, and we had an improved turnout. So make sure that the female's mental makeup is where it needs to be. This is why, and this is just me in my opinion, I could be wrong, but this is why street dogs, right? They're so fertile, right? Think about it. A street dog isn't really stressed. Street dog goes where they want, whenever they want. They do whatever they want. They're living in pure freedom. And so that's so being able to give the female dog what she needs and have her feel good and relaxed is going to help your outcome. This is also true as to why so many dogs that live at home with their owners do so much better than dogs that are just exclusively in the kennel area, right? Because the one that's at home with the owners, to a certain extent, they have a bit more freedom, right? Brayman Bull says, super late to the live. We're going to have to go back and catch all the gold being dropped. Oh, man, it's all good. We're talking repro, guys. If you guys have any questions, now's the time to ask. If you had a situation where your dog, where you bred the dog and things didn't work out. By the way, there's a new dog pregnancy test tester that you can do at home. I forget what it's called. Let me look it up here and show it to you guys. Canine at home pregnancy test, right? And yeah, here you go. I'll bring it up on the screen for you guys to see it. Let me see. Let me click on it. Yeah, it's a little kit. 1571. Let me bring it up for you guys. Share screen. There you go. All right. So this is what I'm talking about right here. For $15, it's called the pregnancy test kit. Easy to use. By the time the female's 2 weeks old, you could go ahead and run this, and within 15 minutes, it'll let you know if your dog is pregnant or not. And what's cool about it is the reason I recommend getting that and doing that is because a lot of times you don't know if your female ever took or not. And that's important because if your female consumed, in other words, if she shows that she's pregnant after 2 weeks, and usually between 2 weeks and 2 and 3 weeks, I want to say 2 and 3.5 weeks, that's when they'll consume. So if it shows that your female is if you can see that your female is pregnant with this test, and then 2 weeks later it drops, then by all means that means that the female dog consumed. Now you need to get to the bottom as to why she consumed. Was it the food I was giving her? Is she being stressed? Was it too hot? Was it too cold? That sort of thing. Yeah. So yeah, just wanted to give you guys that bit of insight. Being able to know if she ever did take, and then being able to to decide, hey, you know what, she did take, but she consumed. Now you know that it's more likely than not environmental. More likely than not, the only way that you can say it isn't environmental is if, say, your female has an ovarian cyst. And you'll know that because in her next pregnancy cycle, you're going to get fluctuations. You're going to get split heats. You're going to get all sorts of wackiness. And then at that point, then you can take her in and get a ultrasound done on her ovaries to see if she has an ovarian cyst. And that's how you know. You'll see that she's at a 2 on progesterone, and then the following day she's at a 9. That's very wonky. It doesn't work out that way. It should be 2, and then 2 days later she may be at a 4, and then 2 days after that she may be at a 6 or 7. That's how it should slowly climb. Let me see here. Anybody got any questions? You guys are well aware, as far as the multivitamins that we use. Really important, man. That zinc or vitamin E and that zinc, right? And that vitamin E is going to get the dog's sperm count up. It's also going to help that female dog be ready. In addition, right, once those puppies are in there, look at that calcium and phosphorus, right? They're balanced perfectly. And then with Nuvet NuJoint, you're going to be getting the glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM, and additional vitamin C for those puppies, so that when they're born, right, and they get all fat and chunky, their little soft tissue is able to uphold the weight that's going to be coming on them. Felipe Hernández Rondón, ¿qué es más recomendable? ¿Una cesárea o parto natural? ¿Y cuándo es necesario hacer cesárea? So I'll translate. What is more recommendable, a C-section or natural birth? And when is a C-section necessary? Buena pregunta. Good question, Felipe. This is a difficult question to answer. I'm going to say why. The reason it's difficult is because natural is always better in nature, right? For nature. Problem is, the dogs that we have are not natural. They're designer dogs. I don't care what breed it is. If it could be a Doberman, a German Shepherd, American Bully, a Poodle. If humans put hands on it, that's a designer breed, right? Some breeds, they got bigger heads and thinner cervical area, or thinner hips, better yet, like, say, French Bulldogs and even English Bulldogs. Yeah, you're probably going to need a C-section because the heads are not going to make it through the little canal, okay? However, as a breeder, even if you had dogs, like, say, American Bully XLs normally don't need a C-section. I would still do a C-section. Why? Why would you do a C-section? I'm going to tell you. Because during natural birth, there's always that 1 or 2 pup loss. There's always, I don't know why, it's happened to me. There's always 1 or 2 puppies. I mean, I've had litters where they all lived, but normally you're going to get 1 or 2 pups that are not going to make it. Whereas a C-section only runs you $1,500, right? Or in my neck of the woods. When you do a C-section, I have rarely lost a pup, if ever. And in addition to that, I will say the female recovers a lot faster than you would think. My females, it's a lot cleaner process when they do C-section than when they do natural birth. Let me say in Spanish real quick. Felipe, para informarte, es una decisión muy difícil porque siempre queremos hacer las cosas de forma natural. Pero la realidad es, por lo menos yo, cuando he tenido cachorros, las camadas que he tenido, siempre hay 1 o 2 cachorros que no sobreviven el parto. Entonces, como por donde yo vivo cuesta $1,500 hacer una cesárea, para mí es mejor hacer una cesárea. Aparte, la hembra recupera mucho más rápido de lo que tú te piensas y es un proceso más limpio. La hembra suelta menos muconio por la vagina y sobre todo es un proceso más limpio. All right, so we're back to English. Sulema says, when is it recommended to retire a female? Does it apply to male too? No. A male could be 10 years old and he's still ready to procreate as long as his sperm count hasn't dropped, right? As far as a female, it's really up to the breeder. My recommendation has always been 3 births, equaling, between 32 and 36 puppies. So that's really important to say that, because if you stick to just 3 births and she has, say, 2 puppies on the first birth and 3 on the second, like you could put those 2 litters together. That equals literally like 1 litter. You see what I'm saying? So if I have a female that gave birth to 2 and then 3, and then she had a 7 pup litter, there's a total of 12 pups. I wouldn't have an issue breeding her again. I wouldn't. Her body has not, been under that much stress. But if she had 8 and then she had 10 and then she had 8 again, and that comes out to what, 26? A 4th breeding is still possible. A 4th breeding is still possible. So like I said, 3 breedings, if you get 12, 12, and 12, great. Now it's time to retire. But I also look at 32 to 36 pups. And if you only had, say, 3, 2, 3, and 2, yeah, we're probably going to breed you again. Felipe Hernandez Rondon, I heard that with the C-section, females never know they had pups. Is it true? Puede traer problemas. Yes, Felipe, very good point. So this is what happens, guys. Oxytocin is a hormone that is produced in the pituitary gland that causes contractions of the uterus, right? This is what helps mom push the puppies out. This same hormone causes the mom to bond with the puppy. This is when she recognizes the puppy's hers. This is when all of a sudden she becomes aggressive against any dog that gets near her nesting area, right? That's oxytocin talking to her. So what ends up happening is when you take a female dog to have a C-section done, 1, she's put under anesthesia. 2, she hasn't had that oxytocin, right? For the length of time that a regular natural birth takes to be present. So she doesn't have it high enough. So what I always recommend is if you have a C-section with your dog, you need to jump in that nesting area with the dog and the pups, until you see that motherly instinct. Okay. And the motherly instinct is going to happen when this happens. I'm going to tell you right now. So the other way that oxytocin is produced is through a loop back, right? So oxytocin is produced in the pituitary. It gets sent down. Her uterus, once it feels oxytocin, it starts to contract. That's what pushes the puppies out. The other thing that causes oxytocin to be released and do this whole thing I just said is when the puppy begins to suckle on the titty. When the puppy sucks on the titty, right, it actually causes, again, oxytocin to be produced and for the uterus to contract. So you bring a mom home from having a C-section. She's recovering from the anesthesia. She doesn't have enough oxytocin in her body to feel that these are her pups. You need to sit in there and you need to place the puppies on the titties, let them suck, right? And as they suck, after 3, 4, 6 hours, you'll start noticing she starts to bond with them. She starts to lick them. She wants to clean up after them. That's another thing. You definitely need to put the puppies in front of her for her to lick. That urine and the feces that she's actually taking back in from the puppy. It's part of the process to get the ball rolling. Kahiki says 101 reproduction can't get any better than this, especially free education. You got it, man. Felipe, I understand English. I just can't write it very good. Oh, you're doing great, man. You're doing great. Shaytree says, in my XL's litter, when they were born C-section, 2 of the Merle pups passed away. I wonder why. It was a 9-pup litter. Okay, so C-sections also bring their risks. There is no way of having puppies without, having zero risk. So one of the things about C-section that can happen is you got to realize you're putting mom under anesthesia. Mom is giving all the nutrients and the blood supply to the puppies, through the uterus and the placenta that's on the uterus. So the puppies are going to take in some anesthesia. So if you have some puppies whose placenta placement was not directly on the uterus because there were other placentas underneath it, that puppy, and usually a lot of people like to call it the runt, usually that puppy's having very little blood supply. So it's having a hard time developing as, the other brothers and sisters. So all of a sudden you're giving that one puppy who's having a hard time already anesthesia, and he or she may just not wake up from it. And that's just the truth. And the same truth could be applied to the mother. This is why you need to make sure that the mother's in the best physical condition, and make sure there's no heart murmurs or anything like that, right? Heart murmurs at level 1, not a big deal, but level 2 on for pregnancy can become a complication. Zulema says, okay, and when she is, when is she too old? Even if she had small litters, talk about mastitis. Okay, I will. Too old for me, man. I've always said 4 years. I will push it to 4.5. I'll do everything possible not to go 5. Why? Because our breed lives 10 to 12 years, man. Like, do you want the dog literally for 5 years to be a breeding dog? Come on. That's just me. That's just the way I run it. There's people out here that are breeding dogs at 7, 8 years. I don't know how they can live with themselves, but if the dog is about, if you really needed a litter off of that dog because she has everything you want and whatnot, 4.5 is fair. 5 if you really never had gotten nothing from her. But past 5, it's not to my liking. Mastitis is infection, right, of the breast. And typically it happens whenever you have a female. And sometimes I go online and I'll see these pictures and I just shake my head. They'll have females on a dirt floor. And you see the female standing there. She's not laying down. But what do you think happens when they're not taking the picture? She has to lay down somewhere. You don't want a female that's lactating to lay down on dirt, because dirt is full of bacteria and fungus and everything you can imagine. So when that female flops down on the ground and her breast lets out the little white dots of milk, right, which is really more collagen than milk. But anyways, it's an entry point for bacteria, viruses, fungus, parasites, every and anything, and that could get into the breast area, and can make it inflamed, and can, and you'll see it'll turn red on you. It might even start changing the coloring of the milk that's coming out. If you see a dog having this, I strongly recommend going to the vet so they can give you antibiotics. More than likely, they're going to give you amoxicillin, which is a broad spectrum antibiotic, and it really doesn't affect the pups, but they're very limited as to what they can give that's really strong, because antibiotics can affect the pups. So my recommendation altogether is don't have a female that's pregnant laying down on the dirt. It's that simple. If you could have a cement floor or bring her in the house or something, but don't have them laying on the dirt. You're asking for trouble. Felipe says, cuando quiero embarazar, my female, ¿qué es más recomendable? Tenerla super lean or more on the heavy side? So if I want to impregnate my female, what is more recommendable? Having her super lean or more on the heavy side? This is an excellent question. Just as in adult human beings, right? The heavier the female is, the less she will ovulate, and the more complications you can have during pregnancy. So the leaner the dog, the more ovulation you're going to have. I'm talking in general terms, guys. If you had a dog that was 300 pounds and she gave birth to 20 pups, that's great, right? There's always an exception to the rule. I'm just talking about in general terms. The more lean the female is, the more eggs she should drop when ovulating. So, and the less complications she's going to have. The same can hold true to long backs versus short backs. The longer the back, right, the more, the less complications the female could have, and the more ovulation she will have, as long as she's not overweight. The shorter back dogs, right, even though we love short backs, I'm one of them, they can lead to complications, because as those puppies get bigger, that belly is getting bigger and is raising the pressure inside of the uterus. I actually had one female who did natural birth one time. Her pressure was such that one of the puppies that came out, the top of his scalp was taken off. All right. And that's when I learned that C-sections are a lot better than just natural birth. Sulema says, breeding back to back, or better let heat in between. Sulema, excellent. You guys are asking some very good questions. Look, when I first got into breeding, again, I never remember if it was the ABKC or UKC. It was one or the other, but they were recommending that you breed 4 times in a row and then you spay the female. Okay. That might sound a bit severe, but it's not going to sound severe after you hear what I'm about to tell you. So a female dog that is not bred, but she goes through the heat cycle, her uterus gets damaged every time she goes through a heat cycle. Every single time it gets damaged. So giving her a break is not really going to stop the process of her uterus being damaged every time she has a heat. Okay. You're also going to hear arguments from people that are unethical in order to, make themselves feel better about their opinion. And they're going to say, well, wolves in the wild, females, they mate when they're one. Yeah, that's true too. But these dogs are not in the wild, and they're designer dogs. So no, you don't start breeding, when they're one either. However, for back-to-back breedings, what I recommend is how well did the female bounce back physically herself? How well did she bounce back, right? You have a female that had a 14 pup litter and they just sucked her dry where she, it took her 3.5, 4 months to gain her weight back. Yeah, you might want to consider giving her a break, right? But, you had a female that had 8 pup litter and she bounced back like nothing, then I would do back-to-back. Can doxycycline cause liver damage and acute pancreatitis? That's an excellent question. Let's look it up. Let's look it up. Because as much as I know a little bit about medicine, since I'm a nurse and whatnot, I'm not a vet. So, I will share what I know, but what I don't know, man, I'm the first person that's going to tell you. So doxycycline in dogs. Does it cause liver damage? What was the other thing you asked? Liver damage, acute pancreatitis, or acute pancreatitis. All right, let's see what this has to say. Let me bring it up here. Doxycycline. Here we go. There you go. All right. So doxycycline in dogs. Many dogs have slightly increased liver levels. Okay. So if it has increased liver enzyme levels, it means that it's damaging the liver while taking doxycycline. In most cases, this isn't a serious concern. Rarely, though, doxycycline can cause liver failure. So they're saying that it's rare that it causes liver failure. Let's go to another higher dose of doxycycline increased the risk of elevated ALP activity. The finding of the present study indicate that doxycycline therapy in dogs may be associated with gastrointestinal side effects and increased in liver enzyme activities. Okay, let's take out liver and let's go to just pancreatitis. Let's see how that references it. It says, yes, doxycycline can cause acute pancreatitis in dogs, but it's rare. Doxycycline is a tetracycline antibiotic that's commonly used to treat bacterial infections. So there's your answer. I guess it can cause both, but it's rare. It's not common. Sulema, back-to-back break, then back-to-back, then retire, says Kahiki. And that's, if that's what you guys want to do, you can. I'm just saying, man, me personally, I have evolved. No, we all have. My mentality is if you had a good first litter, a good second litter, say 6 to 8 pups, first time, second time, I'm going to do the third time, and then I'll probably close you up there. But even if I wanted to do a breeding after that, as long as you're bouncing back, and what I mean bouncing back is when I take the puppies off of you on day 23, day 24, I want to see you fully recover within 2 to 3 weeks. If you do that, that tells me you're fine. You're good to go. And that's how I would repeat. Sulema says the best time to take off mom is at 4 weeks after pup's birth. Question. Okay, Sulema, here's the thing. Puppies are born with an immature immune system. Their immune system does not kick in until day 28. So if you were to tell me I'm going to wait until day 28 before I take the puppies off of mom, I would salute you because that's fine. That's actually a good strategy. Me personally, I take them off mom on day 23, day 24. By the time they're at day 23, day 24, they're already walking around. They're already having teeth coming in. I don't want them to those extra 4 days between day 24 and day 28. I don't want them to suck mom dry. I don't want mom to be in pain because now they also got them their nails, their claws, they're scratching away and they're biting at mom's titties. And it's just a bad experience for mom more than anything. And mind you, if you want to use mom again in breeding, you can't leave her on there for too long because they will suck her dry. They will feed all day for 4 days. It's going to take mom forever to recover from that. So at that point, that's why I move them on day 23, 24. If you want to wait till day 28, you can. But you're absolutely right. Their immune system comes in on day 28, right? And from then on, then that's when you're good. Now, mind you, when I take the puppies off of mom and they go straight to mush, not only are they going to go on Nuvet and NuJoint DS, which they've been on all their whole life, but because I'm going to be adding some raw foods, or even if I don't add raw foods, even if I decided to go kibble on the mush, we're going to add garlic, right? I'm going to add garlic. Why? Because garlic is an antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral. These puppies have they have an immune system that even at day 28 is just immature. And so I want to make sure that they're covered. And that's how I cover them. Sheichi says, I'm living a nightmare right now. Thank you for helping me understand that medication. Why are you living the nightmare? Does doxycycline cause high cholesterol? It should not. Cholesterol is made in the liver. Let me look it up for you, but I really doubt that that's the case. Let me type it up. Does doxycycline cause elevated cholesterol in dogs? I really doubt that. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. So let me, okay. So let me bring it up. It says the most common side effects include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, lack of appetite. Do not use in pets that are allergic to it or other tetracyclines. Can doxycycline cause high cholesterol? The cholesterol content of the liver was raised by both tetracycline and doxycycline. Look at that. I was wrong. Tetracycline and doxycycline increase the concentration of unesterified cholesterol and decrease esterified and total cholesterol in serum. Most effects were more consistent with more pronounced in females than in males. Wow. Okay, look at that, Shay. I learned something today. So it does cause higher cholesterol levels. Let's see here. Okay, so Shay Tree's talking about Lyme disease. Sasha was bit by a tick. I got it off of her head and all. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Ticks, that Lyme disease is. Sulema Santiago says, okay, but if I'll take off mom at day 23, 24, I have to start giving the pups food, a part of the mom's milk when? Yeah, on day 23, day 24, they're ready to munch. In fact, right before I take them off completely, while they're still on mom, I'll get a little plate of mush, right? And grab each puppy separately and let them smell it, let them taste it, let them know what it is. That way, when I take them completely off of mom and I bring, mush bowls in, they jump right in. They already know what it is. Oh, thank you. No, I'm not shade tree. I just share my experiences, and we'll dig deeper if we see someone in a situation like yours that your dog got bit by a tick. But either way, guys, listen. This pretty much does it for Repro. I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about it. I've had a couple of people talk to me about some situations where they were getting the sperm, but it was dead by the time it got to them because it was over insulated and that sort of thing. All I'm going to say, guys, is if you're going to be using a box outside of this, my recommendation is to use this. But if you're going to use something else other than that, then, if you're the breeder and you're the person that's collecting, make sure the cold pack or the ice is on top and the content is on the bottom. We all know that cold air, it's heavy, so it's gonna come down. Cold air is more dense than regular air temperature. So, you got it, Shay. So, number love, guys. I'm going to let y'all be. You have yourself a good weekend. We're going to come back on Monday. It's been Raul from the queue. Oh, before I go, we dropped the poll. Do me a favor. Go to the community tag. Go to the posts. We dropped the poll. And I'm asking, what is your preferred way of your female giving birth? Whether it's not giving birth, I'm sorry, of insemination. Whether it's AI, a surgical, TCI, or natural. Let me know. Either way, guys, been Raw for the Q. I'll be catching you on the next one.
Here we go, kill the whistle. Oh yeah. We are going for a whole hour. Straight dog talk and the song. Jump on in and speculate. Show up on time, don't be weak and late. We are community, so don't hate. And learn to cooperate. Yeah, hit that like button and do your thing. 5 membership will get you in. So let's talk dogs and don't waste no time. Monday 7 p.m. CST. Don't come doing the HAT.